Okay, in today's video, we're going to talk about how a Google My Business account, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of people are going to just call it Google Maps, how that Google Maps / Google My Business account can drop your sales literally in half by not having that established and hooked up right for your business. Now I'm going to explain out what means right and how that actually pertains to your PPC campaigns, okay? Given the half actually does associate with having assumed you're also already doing PPC for your business. So a lot of people don't, I guess, realize how, they'll do PPC, they don't take their Google Maps seriously for a number of different reasons I'll go through, and they don't realize that they're losing upwards of half of their total clicks and sales that they can get from their little limited pie, little local market where there's only so much demand by not doing that, okay? So I'll explain how to set it up the right way so you don't, this isn't you. If you're not, if you haven't set it up the right way yet, the way that I described, you can upwards to double the amount of pie available for yourself in your local market and for your company in general. So anyway, I'm going to go through a quick prelude here, and then I'm going to get into the strategy, okay? So I've seen this actually occur more than several times. I always encourage our clients to do what I'm telling you to do here. Sometimes Google, I understand Google My Business and their verification process is not easy to deal with, but clear as day, with and without using this for a local business, the numbers are always huge. So I've proven this, in other words, just proven this myself several times, seeing it without it done right, after it's done right, these numbers hold true for a variety of different local businesses. Some businesses, obviously, it'll be a little bit more, but the differences between the actual businesses aren't that much, realistically. If you're in, let's say, a hotel business, more people interact with the maps than a plumber, but what happens is the plumbers, the electricians, whatever, they don't realize how much people deal with the maps. If you're a local product seller, you sell medical supplies locally to elderly people, they're using maps way more than you think. That's where the big misconception comes in, and so they think they don't really, they don't realize how much they're missing out on by not setting it up the right way and going full all the way through the process like they could, and then ultimately knowing what the full process entails and how it works and that kind of thing. So anyway, yes, confirming your Google My Business account, meaning, of course you got to verify your address. And then what happens a lot of times is people switch addresses. The average time somebody's at an address, business address, is like 3 years. If you can, counting the people that go out of business and stuff, the people that are in business longer, it would be a little longer than that, or they'll set up separate locations or what have you. They will try to verify their business, and then it gets lost in the shuffle. The card doesn't show up, or the card, it doesn't work, whatever. So sometimes it really is a pain to deal with there, but if you are a local company who wants to dominate your local market, you have to do this, because it's a very critical part of getting local business for your local business. Okay, so respectively, if you're not doing PPC yet, you're missing out on like millions of dollars in yearly sales from the average local business that has any kind of respectable volume. But you don't do this, you're potentially cutting your sales in half again. So you want the PPC, you want to do everything I'm about to describe to you here. So I have a little flow chart here. So your Google My Business is what powers your ads on Google Maps. And what happens is, so as you know, you're probably familiar with right now, if you go to Google Maps and you search for whatever, there's the map on the right side. Then on your left side, you have the listings of different businesses, what the business name is, what the reviews are, all of that. So if you actually have your Google My Business account, which is also tied to Google Maps, hooked up to your Google PPC ads right, what you will end up having, instead of showing up somewhere randomly in this list, when somebody goes to Google Maps and types in carpenters in Denver, you will, assuming that you set it up right, will show up here at the very top listing, which if you don't understand the consequences of that, there's tons of studies out there that show what the click-through rate or number of clicks somebody gets in the number 1 position on Google search for the organic listings versus 2 versus 3, so on and so forth. And routinely, if you don't know, the number 1 there listing there gets about 40% of the searches. Actually, it changes time to time, 20 to 40%. And then the number 2 is already like, 8% or something similar to that. So if you're not there on the top, then you basically don't exist, because people, they read stuff right to left, so, and so where do they start? The top. It's just natural the way that it works. But also, some people go for the map right away, and what Google recently did was they allow you a promoted pin on the map itself. So there's a bunch of these red pins. Your pin is going to start to show up purple, given you have an ad, which is what they should have, I already knew what the game plan was going to be when Google Map Pack and that all stuff happened and started coming out roughly 10 years ago. Eventually, the only thing that was going to show up on Google, there's 3 showing there now, are the people running paid ads, which is respectively right now, by the way. Not guaranteed they're all paid players, but they're going to want to show their paid players first, which is why the desktop will be helped out. But not just the mobile traffic, where more mobile traffic click on the mobile, on the map, Google Maps in the first place, as it shows up higher naturally when you in the Google search results above, where it's right there, and people are naturally gravitating towards that more than the search ads or the organic listings. But if they look at the map, the purple cow, if you will be the first thing that, it's different, that people will focus on, and it'll get more clicks as well. So for 2 reasons here, when you have your maps hooked up to your Google Ads account and you're running a proper Google Ads account that Google wants to promote first, they always want to promote that person that can convert a cold user to a satisfied, respondee, or ultimately a customer, because they look at reviews too and do a better job of it than anybody else. So if you can get them to want to promote you, and then you're willing to pay on top of it, of course, then they're going to want to promote you plastered up here at the top here on the left-hand side, and your purple, you're going to show up as a purple pen in your city when somebody's looking for whatever you sell in your city, okay? So I touched on just a second ago that on mobile, most people click on the maps. It's like 3 times the amount of people go to the map section than they do click on the ads, okay? A lot of people don't realize this, and I was somewhat skeptical about it until I did more research on the topic myself. So respectively, if you're not doing what I just described here, you're basically in position to generate half the amount of clicks you would get otherwise on mobile. And given mobile is for a local business, this can be 60% of the total, search traffic overall in that local market that are on Google searching for what you do. If you're only getting half of that 60%, well, now 30% is completely gone. And then you, of course, that's just the mobile, okay, which is the bigger one. But of course you have desktop to worry about. And like I said before, now there used to be 7. They called it 7-pack. So where the map showed up on Google, there were 7 listings. Now there's 3. Why did they do that? Well, one, you don't need 7 listings, and it's just going to be more options. It's going to be harder to choose. It's just like that experiment where they had given look at the jelly choice experiment, where they gave people a bunch of choices for a bunch of different jellies, like for instance in a grocery store, and when they narrowed down the options from like 50 to 3, people bought more when there was 3 versus 50. So if you give people too many choices, they actually make less decisions overall. That plays into your sales process, if you can put it there. But so they only have 3 now, and of those 3, they also want to be able to at least have one of those being a paid listing, to reward the people that are paying them through their Google Ads program. And so therefore, even if it's not all 3 paid, which it's not, more likely that somebody's to click on the paid listing. Of course, you'll also, generally speaking, show up as the first one on that top 3, which you're going to get more of the clicks from that 3-pack on desktop as well, on top of everything else. Okay? So, of course, on mobile, generally speaking, just with all that, if they see the maps on the mobile phone, a lot more times they're going to go click on the maps and then they're going to go look at the maps, more so than you're going to obviously do that on desktop. But it's the same thing there. The actual default 3-pack there that shows up on mobile, you're going to show up, your paid ad's they're going to want to promote your ad first, therefore you're going to get a higher click-through rate if they never go to the map on top of everything else. So for a number of different reasons, a ton of people on mobile go right for the maps section. Whether they click on it to go into the Google Maps or not, you're going to lose half of your clicks basically not having your Google Ads account linked to your Google My Business. And on desktop, well, only about actually half the people who are searching for your local service, roughly speaking, in your city will click on the map section as they do on the regular text ads. So if let's say 3 to 5% of the people click on the text ads, what I mean is 1 to 3% will click on the map section, just so that you know. So whereas on the mobile, 3 to 5% will click on the text ads, but 10 to 15% will click on the maps. So again, a lot more important on maps, but you'll lose out on a lot on mobile, but also some on desktop as well, more so on mobile. But when you combine the two, you now can see where this can affect about half of your sales, okay? People are clicking the map area, like I said, 3 times more frequently than regular search ads on mobile, because that's what's more prominently shown, I guess. But I'm guessing a lot more people, just because that's just a different type of user. I don't know exactly what the exact reasons are and how they're split out like that. It is what it is. And a properly linked up ad account ensures you're on top of the maps basically 100% of the time. So what I want to verify for you here is what I've seen is, if your ad account, you follow all the kind of strategies that I use to guarantee our clients results here at Guarantee PPC on your accounts, you're going to you have a better ad account that works more efficiently, turning cold users into customers at a better rate than anybody else in your space. Therefore, they're going to want to promote your stuff first. Now, on top of that, you have your account linked up, like I said, to your Google My Business link to your ad account, and you turn on location extensions. You're going to end up with being up top here, first, the one shown here first on the maps, and then on the Google 3-pack on Google, show up as the first listing there as well. As well on the map, by the way, on the 3-pack, also showing up as the purple pin there. So all of those together, you'll basically be the one that shows up first. So in other words, on the search ads, okay, if you're the one that actually converts a cold user into a paid customer at the highest, that can do it at the highest rate possible, because Google wants to make sure people want to click on ads in the future and build up a good reputation for yourself, you'll naturally be the one that they want to show up on Google first and send as much traffic there, because even though they want money, they want more people to be addicted to clicking on the ads and know, I get what I want when I click on the ads faster, so people more often click on the ads. They got a long-term view on this. So you'll naturally show up in the ad section more. You'll have what they call impression share. More often, your ad will show up for the profitable keywords that you have. You'll show up for cheaper, but that then carries over to everything to do with the map that I just described on this video. So you could think about it that way. You do a good job, you're going to do a lot better on Google search, but you're also going to do a lot better on Google Maps, in the 3-pack, on the map itself, under the map listings. In that now, because maps are such a higher share of the total search volume, given that for local businesses, a lot of times 60% of the traffic is mobile, and so on mobile, so many people click on maps. You got to really think about this, and I would just say for sure go ahead and make sure your maps are hooked up to your Google Ads account, because you're going to lose upwards of half your sales if you don't. Okay? So anyway, that's the reason why you're going to get half your sales cut, assuming that you're already doing it the right way. If you are doing your PPC the right way, I can't guarantee everything I said in terms of where you show up and how often and all that will happen. We'll just assume you set it up better than your competition, so that Google wants to not only show you most prominently in the search area and the search ad section, but also on Google Maps. Like I said, also desktop will also get a bump when you actually make sure that you go through with linking together your Google Maps with your Google Ads account, and you'll get another 10 to 20% more clicks from your total market share of what's available and profitable for you to grab on desktop as well. So you might get 30% more on mobile alone, hooking the Google My Business to Google Ads, but also another 20% on desktop even. Or it could be 35-15 or 40-10, you get the idea. But roughly speaking, upwards of half of your business can just come from this Maps, assuming that you're doing ads right now and you add this one linking to your account, just one feature, if you will, to your ad account, which you didn't have it at all before. So anyway, you have to start out with verifying your Google My Business. Once you've done that, it's pretty simple to execute this. In terms of new money coming in for amount of effort, if you're not doing this, is like basically the most highest return thing that you can do. That's the easiest, cheapest thing to do. You just link up your Google My Business to your Google Ads account. You can Google that information, it's very easy. And then you add the locations extension to each one of your campaigns. So under extensions, you do location extensions. If you don't have your ad account linked to your Google My Business account yet, it'll ask you to link it at that time. So that's why I mentioned you go ahead and just link your accounts first. Once you have it linked, it'll just say which of the locations do you want to link to this location extension, as you're making sure your location extension is set up under each one of your campaigns. So if you have multiple locations, you have to pick one. You don't get to pick multiple, right? If you do actually have multiple locations in a city, even if you are a good buyer of ads, even if you're doing a good job, all that, if you, for instance, search for carpenters in Denver, they're going to actually show on the map and on the listings places from Denver. So if you're in another town next to Denver, respectively, you could play some games here. You could open up another location in that town that's almost as big as Denver, but it's not Denver itself. And then you set those campaigns up with a location extension that has that new location on it. That way, when somebody searches for a carpenter in Second City, whatever that is, you'll also show up first in the map pack, in the 3 map pack, on Google Maps itself, with the pin showing up top of the list, showing up at the top of the 3 pack, showing up as a purple pin on the 3 pack map itself, all of that for that other city. And because it has such a big impact on your sales numbers, like I said, I just got done explaining completely here, it may be worth it for you to set up another location, and it could pay for the cost of the rent and whatever else you have. And technically then, if you're in Los Angeles County, you could basically pick, if there's all the cities with at least 500,000 people, you might be worth it for you to actually use that strategy. Okay, so it's up to you to decide. That's just another side thing that you could take this one step further with. But so it's only going to cover you well. And if you're trying to cover all of Denver and you're not in Denver, well, maybe you set up your office in Denver, so your PPC. Now, I know that seems really weird and excessive to move your location just so that your PPC does better. But again, you're talking about half your potential sales, and if most people are searching for carpenter in Denver and they're not searching for carpenter in suburb, well then, you may be losing a couple $100,000 worth of revenue a year just from this one actual factor that's not able to be executed and exploited in your PPC account, whereas it would be in the future, whereas the rent on a second location is, $1,000 a month, 10% of what you're, 5% of what you're losing. So, you have to make the decision for yourself. Now, one thing I did not mention out of all of this is the review. So in general, you can't, so the number of reviews that you have to be able to, to where it amounts to half your sales almost, okay? When you link up your Google My Business account to your ad account, will be there as long as you have at least 5 reviews. The number of reviews is a lot less important than the review score, as I found. I don't have any scientific data on this, but respectively, even if you have like 8 reviews, a lot of the clients coming in, they don't have that many. They're able to see really, really good numbers like I talked about before and after, like I was explaining where I got this information from in the first place, by not having, 200 reviews, okay? And so if you're wondering why, or if the other competition who has 184 reviews is not going to help them a lot, I could tell you setting up the PPC the right way and paying and linking your accounts together, that's a bigger factor than the number of reviews. Now, that does not apply if you have a 2 out of 5 score. In that situation, Google will have to make a decision whether or not the expertise of your ad setup and the ability of you willing to pay, obviously, they want to show you up top at that point. And I don't have any good information for you other than to say, if you have less than a 4 score, you need to get more reviews. Bottom line, because I can't guarantee this is going to work if you've got a 3 or 2 or 1 here score. So there's a small, asterisk caveat to this whole thing. You've got to have at least a 4 out of 5 score for me to be able to say that this is going to work for you no matter what, basically, where you're going to get close to 50% more sales from your PPC, linking your Google My Business to your ad account and actually using it, okay? So, and with that, it's always a constant battle because your review goes down. You got to do something to get to more reviews and bring your score up. There's a number of different ways out there that local service businesses and other just local businesses are doing it. At least you guys, you can use a tool like Birdeye, which every time you get a customer, you can automatically, ask them to, it'll pre-typed out review, and they just have to click approve. They don't, because the biggest thing of why people don't leave reviews, because it's time consuming. If they get an email and they just got to click approve, that's a lot different than having to go to Google My Maps. Okay, what do I click on? Okay, now what do I say? Blah, 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 blah. That's the biggest hack that I've seen people have. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. If you like this video, I have a lot of other money-making PPC strategy videos on this channel, over 150 at this time. You should check those out if you haven't, whichever you've seen any of my other work. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step information on how to build campaigns that guarantee results for our clients, in which I personally have written myself here. You can see that as well if you'd like to see information along those lines portrayed for you. If you have any questions about the Google Maps or anything I discussed regarding this, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person that leaves me a comment on this channel within a day or two. Apart from that, hope this was able to put the things into frame of reference for you to be able to understand why this is important, why you should be using it, so you don't lose part of your money in setting up your ads for your city and the business that you're doing.